The bad news, CBC is wasting more of your money on brainwashing. The good news, though, is that they are brainwashing themselves for once and not everybody else. I like to browse around the government contract and tender websites. I like to see not only how the government is wasting our money, but what exactly they're wasting it on. It's also a pretty good predictor of future government programs and government behavior. But this next one is a real doozy. It sounds very expensive, although we really have no idea how much it's really going to cost. And based on the CBC's recent track record of reporting, I think it might be pretty redundant. Look at this. CBC is looking to hire someone to support the corporation in the implementation of its 2018 to 21 diversity and inclusion plan, and more specifically, its vision to be the media leader in drawing on the wealth of unique Canadian perspectives to shape our content, workplace, and workforce. CBC and Radio Canada wishes to increase its employees' awareness and cultural competencies. The objective of this request is to select one or more providers for CBC and CBC Radio Canada's diversity and inclusion program, more specifically as it relates to unconscious bias and cultural competency trainings. The program can be delivered in person and or online, and the corporation welcomes innovative and cutting-edge solutions. The corporation cultural competency training focus is on Indigenous peoples and persons with disabilities and other areas of interest, including visible minorities and the LGBTQ plus community. I don't know about you, but I haven't cracked open the CBC website recently and thought to myself, boy, oh boy, they're really treating sexual minorities unfairly over there. But yet, here they are at the CBC trying to find someone, anyone, to brainwash themselves. I mean, I would suggest they have Indigenous people and the LGBTQ community pretty well represented down at the CBC, considering they have an entire CBC Indigenous Bureau dedicated to Indigenous issues, right? And they pollute the CBC Kids website with sexual issues long before little kids should know or care about this kind of stuff. Don't believe me? Just take a look at some of this stuff. CBC Kids. What does LGBTQ stand for? CBC Kids again. Famous LGBTQ icons that are active in the LGBTQ community. CBC Kids, one more time. How to support your LGBTQ friends and family. CBC Kids yet again. What is National Coming Out Day? CBC Kids again. Why pink triangles are special and their meaning in the LGBTQ community. Now this one, it's not from CBC Kids, but it is from the CBC, and it's about kids and sexuality. How a dog and a chicken are teaching kids about LGBTQ identity. The story is about how a dog puppet and a chicken puppet discuss LGBTQ concepts with grade 3 students. 8-year-olds, people. This is a glowing story in the state broadcaster about how best to discuss gender identity, same-sex marriage, and transgender concepts with 8-year-olds. Yeah, you know what? I'm pretty sure we don't need to spend thousands and thousands of dollars educating the SJWs down at the CBC about how to be less biased against sexual minorities. I think they have it pretty well covered off, don't you? Now, if CBC really wants to address its real and problematic bias, they could probably start with, I don't know, how they report on literally anything that happens in and around Gaza. In the first 9 months of 2018, Honest Reporting Canada made close to 100 complaints to the CBC Ombudsman over the perceived unfair treatment of Israel in their reporting. One complaint stemmed from how CBC reported on a quote-unquote injured medic wounded by Israeli soldiers without once referencing the injured medic's affiliation with the terrorist group Hamas. And in 2017, a poll done by Abacus Data, that's the pollster co-founded by Justin Trudeau's spokeswoman's father, Bruce Anderson, found that people are twice as likely to say the quality of journalism is declining, 26%, as improving, 13%. However, this is significantly affected by the views of conservative voters, who are far more likely to say journalism is deteriorating at 42%. On the question of media bias, 58% think the news media generally favor one political party over another. Again, with conservative voters, 15 points more likely to feel this. 50% of people said that CBC TV was biased, and 49% of people said CBC radio was biased, with the overwhelming majority of respondents to both questions pointing that bias in favor of the Liberals. Oh yes, there's a bias at the state broadcaster that should be fixed. The perception that they are totally in the bag for the Liberals. At the end of the day, you guys, I'm more worried about the conscious bias of the CBC against conservatives and the CBC's cultural incompetence with regard to anything west of Toronto, like gun rights, oil, gas, freedom. That being said, the last thing I want to do is pay anybody to train the CBC about any of those things I just listed. I just want to sell that behemoth off for scrap and call it a day. For the Rebel.media, I'm Sheila Gunn Reid. Speaking of fair coverage, you know you're not going to get it from the CBC, and that's why we have embedded a reporter, Cian Bexty, with the United We Roll convoy to Canada. They left Red Deer and they just converged on Ottawa now. To help fund Cian's independent coverage of the convoy, go to rebelconvoy.com, and there you can see all of his reports from inside the convoy, reports you won't see anywhere else. That's rebelconvoy.com.